The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
It's gotten a lot of attention out of a new poll that says the majority of Republican primary voters are now birthers. This is according to the new public policy survey. Only 28% of people who say they're going to be voting in the primary that were asked in this poll believe that Barack Obama was born in the United States. 51% don't, and 21% say they're not sure. So you basically have a combined 72% of people who don't strongly believe the president was born in the United States. What is your reaction?
Well, I have a hard time believing that poll. I think that most people understand and accept the reality. And the reality is that, yes, he was born in the United States.
Somebody like Barack Obama, a Kenyan, a black man, a man of great statesmanship who they believe could change the fate of the world.
Barack has led by example. When we took our trip to Africa and visited his home country in Kenya.
So I hope that that's not an issue going forward.
The alarming part, I guess, I mean, you can say you don't believe this poll, but they've asked people this ever since this quote-unquote birther movement started getting more attention, and it's actually grown. The number of people who don't believe the president was born in the United States among a certain segment of the population has grown. Why do you think that there is not enough, I guess, pushback from elected members and from our politicians to say that this simply isn't true? Do you think that for some people fanning the flames of this is actually politically helpful?
Oh, it's not. And if you want pushback, I'll give it right now. Barack Obama is a citizen of the country. We ought to get off this kick. And there are plenty of differences we have. With the president, between Republicans and Democrats, than to spend time on something like this.
Well, great to talk to you this morning. I thank you for your time. Congressman Jeff Flake from Arizona, member of the Appropriations Committee. I know you guys have a lot of work ahead of you as well. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, bye.
Now the governor of Abercrombie, the newly elected Democratic governor who grew up and lived with Obama's parents and knew him when he was growing up as a kid, believes it's time to end this nonsense. So let me ask you, gentlemen, why don't, and I am not a birther, I am an enemy of the birthers. This is an actual birth certificate, a long-form certificate of live birth in the state of Hawaii. This, on the other hand, is what they release generally to the public, a thinner form. I'm not sure if it has less information, but it's digital, of course. Doesn't have signatures on it. And to the birthers is evidence he really ain't one of us. Clarence, is this going to help if we get more documentation? And second question, why has the president himself not demanded that they put out the initial documents?
Yesterday I talked to Neil, said that he searched everywhere using all of his power as governor, looking at Kapiolani Women's Children's Hospital and Queens Medical Center where children were born back in that day. And he said, Mike, there is no Barack Obama birth certificate.
He's a foreigner. We knew it from the start.
Well, I thought the holder of the certificate said it was locked up and she had seen it.
Well, the governor demanded to see it, went to the hospitals, sent all of his people a search warrant, and he could not get it. Well, the governor demanded to see it, went to the hospitals, sent all of his people a search warrant, and he could not get it. Well, the governor demanded to see it, went to the hospitals, sent all of his people a search warrant, and he could not get it. Well, the governor demanded to see it, went to the hospitals, sent all of his people a search warrant, and he could not get it. Well, the governor demanded to see it, went to the hospitals, sent all of his people a search warrant, and he could not get it. He's really good friends with the president, but he says he thinks this could cause a problem during re-election.
Well, yeah, that's why he launched the search. He believes it will harm his re-election effort.
Yeah, well, but he's a friend of Barack's.
I know.
Yes.
I think in his heart and mind, he said, I'm going to get this, bring this to a close. We're going to fix this.
That's exactly true. I mean, I've known Neil for a long, long time, and he's a left-wing nut. I mean, I love him. But, he was, you're exactly right. He was hoping this would get rid of this problem and he would prove that he was born in the United States. Unfortunately, it backfired on him.
Somebody's lying.
Yesterday, I talked to Neil.
Hey,
Hey, good morning, Valley, your Hollywood Insight. This next item, only because I have such close personal contact, I had to bring it to the report today. Former United States Congressman from Hawaii, Neil Abercrombie. We have been friends for decades. When I spent a lot of time with Neil during President Obama's inauguration in Washington, D.C., Neil told me that he was going to run for governor of Hawaii. And he told me the story he had told me many, many times before, that when he was in college in Hawaii, he was a good friend of Obama's dad. And he remembered Barack Obama as a little kid playing Little League, called him Barry. Neil promised me back during the inauguration when he became governor, he was going to cut through all the red tape, he was going to get Obama's birth certificate, and once and for all end the stupid controversy about Barack being born in the United States. Yesterday I talked to Neil, says that he has searched everywhere using his power as governor at Kapolani Women's and Children's Hospital and Queens Medical Center, the two places where children were born back when Barack was born. There is no Barack Obama birth certificate.
Really?
He was shocked. I asked, what does that mean? He said it means it could be a big controversy when the re-election takes place.
Whoa.
I just thought you'd hear it here first.
Man.
This next item, no show business, but I have a personal interest, so I thought I'd share it with you. Former U.S. Congressman from Hawaii, Neil Abercrombie, has been a friend of mine for decades. In fact, when I first met Neil, he was driving a cab in Honolulu. Well, Neil and I spent a lot of time together in Washington, D.C. during Obama's inauguration. Neil told me then that he was going to run for governor of Hawaii. He had enough of being a U.S. congressman. He also told me that stories, and he told me many times after Barack became famous, that when he was in college, going to the University of Hawaii, he was a friend of Barack Obama's dad, and he remembers Barack Obama as a little kid. He used to call him Barry. In fact, I did a TV interview with Abercrombie at C-SPAN the day after the inauguration, and we had to stop twice because he referred to the president as Barry, which after he did, he said, I got to call him Mr. President. Well, Neil promised me that when he became governor, he was going to cut through all the red tape. He was going to get Obama's birth certificate once and for all and end the stupid controversy that he was not born in the United States. Yesterday, talking to Neil's office, Neil says that he searched everywhere using his power as governor at the Kapolani Women's and Children's Hospital and Queens Hospital, the only places kids were born in Hawaii back when Barack was born. There is no Barack Obama birth certificate in Hawaii.
Really?
Absolutely no proof at all that he was born in Hawaii.
Wow.
Now, he went out, he loves Obama. I mean, he purposely did this to get rid of that question. Now, got some egg in the face. I mean, now he admits publicly that there is no birth certificate.
Honestly.
Well, and Mike, the addendum to that is there's this story of there was a birth announcement, but it's been explained his grandparents could have called the newspaper and said, "Hey, our grandchild was born, and he didn't have to be born in Hawaii for that." So it's raising the issue again.
Absolutely.
After it seemed to be put to bed.
And I asked him, I go, "Well, when do you remember Barack? When your first memory?" And he goes, "I remember him playing like in a T-ball league." And I go, like, well, how old? He goes, he was like 5 or 6, something like that. I go, what about before that? He goes, I don't really remember him much before that, which I thought was very odd.
Really?
Anyway.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
According to our federal law, and I don't know if it's constitutional law, but I assume it would be, why is he allowed to be the president of the United States then if he can't prove he's a U.S. citizen?
Well, that's
born here.
The big question.
I don't know. That's weird.
And now Abercrombie is the first to say that although he is Abercrombie is a Obama lover,
right?
That he's concerned that this is really going to be an issue during the re-election.
So it has taken off as a big story again, huh?
Yes.
Well, and what's interesting about it is this guy attacked people who questioned that he was born in Hawaii just a few weeks ago.
Neil did.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, Neil and I are buddies, and during this whole inauguration, when I was in Washington for those 10 days, spent a lot of time with Neil, and anytime anybody come up and bring this up, you're right, Neil was almost militant about it. I remember him as a kid. He was from Hawaii, born and raised in Hawaii. So, needless to say, I think he was probably shocked more than anybody with the whole thing.
I mean, don't you have to produce papers that say, in fact, you were born in the United States?
So, wouldn't you?
You'd have to.
Well, there's been a certificate of live birth, but that's being questioned too because you don't have it. It's not the official birth certificate.
There has to be one at the hospital signed by the doctor verifying birth and a birth, but there isn't that.
Weird.
It's like a baptism papers. It's not worth the paper it's written on. Yesterday I talked to Neil. Said that he searched everywhere. Yesterday I talked to Neil. Said that he searched everywhere. Yesterday I talked to Neil. Said that he searched everywhere.
Some of us have in our possession at home somewhere, I have one in the office here, an actual copy of one of these birth certificates as described here. It has a picture of Nazareth Hospital in Northeast Philly and Roosevelt Boulevard. It has the name of Dr. Aladdin, I believe we knew him. And it's got witnesses and my parents' names, all sort of old school, written out in handwriting with ink and everything on it. It looks like an old document.
But if you,
like the letters of transit in Casablanca. Now you have the new kind, which is this digital thing printed out.
Right.
The president has produced this new kind. It's been fine for him.
Newfangled.
But it's not fine for the. There it is. That's what he has.
Right.
Well, he doesn't have the other kind, apparently.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.